Okay, you have a chance to leave now if you don't want to be recorded. Okay. All right. So we are at 7:01 Central, 8:01 Eastern, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to be doing this. It's the first time that I've done anything as an Amen licensed brain trainer, so I'm pretty excited about that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kate Kunkel, and I am a licensed brain health trainer and a professional brain health coach with Dr. Amen, but I'm also the creator of Brain Health Matters, which is a series of online events, courses, programs, and videos like this to just designed to help you make the best of your brain with the tools that you have and the tools that you can learn with me here. A healthy lifestyle of good food, exercise, and good social interaction. That's what I'm all about here. So I'm hoping all of you are on the same page with me. And if you want to hop into the chat and just say, hey, where you're from, because I know that I have a couple people that registered from far away, like Australia. I'm in Ecuador, by the way, for those of you who don't know me. So Uxbridge, Francine, Uxbridge. There's a salt cave up there. Denver, Colorado. Lisa, oh, hi, Lisa. And I know that Suzanne is in Ontario, near Barrie, right? New York. Wow, awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me and for being on time. Not that it's that big a deal. What I'm going to do is do about a half hour of education. And this is all about, yes, close to Barrie. Yes, Suzanne, great. I thought so. What this is all about is helping you understand how memory works. Because when we understand how it works, then we're more likely to be able to pay attention if something's going wrong, right? If we know how things work, like if you know how your car works, you know you have to put oil in it, then it's going to run better, right? Well, our bodies are the same. It's really good to know what's happening so that we can look after them better. So what I'm going to do today is give a little presentation and share some knowledge, including, we'll get to that in a minute. It's all about helping your brain and your memory. So I'm going to share my screen, and if you have any questions while I'm doing the presentation, just raise your hand or put something in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on it, and that way, it's okay to stop me because I'm going to be talking live, and I'll stop and start, and it's not a recording, so we can interact here during the presentation. So let me get my screen up here. So there we go. All right. So again, I'm Kate Kunkel, and I'm so excited to be presenting this Rescue Your Memory. Without good health, without good brain health, I'm going to move this up a little bit. Without good brain health, our memory can't be all that it can be, right? We can't be all that we can be if our brains aren't healthy, because there's no substitute. We have to have our brains for everything. So what we're going to go through here is helping you look after it a little better so your memory can be better. So what we're going to learn today is how memory works, because that helps us understand how we can improve it, as I mentioned before. And then we're going to learn 3 powerful steps to reduce or eliminate brain fog. I've heard from so many people that that's a real issue, feel fuzzy thinking and a little bit of trouble concentrating. And if that's you, raise your hand and let me know, because I know that a lot of people, certainly my age, I'm about 63, I am 63, and I know that a few of the folks here on the call are about my age. So it's something that does come up, right? This fuzzy thinking and not being able to grasp ideas as quickly as we used to. So I'm going to talk about that, and we're going to share a surprising source of toxic exposure that you may not know about, but there's two sources actually, and they can affect your brain and your memory. And I've got a beautiful practice at the end, which is so important for a healthy, peaceful mind. So first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about why this is so important to me. And I'm going to take my picture off so you can see a picture of my mom. So this is me and my mom. I'm a couple of weeks old, I'm guessing. And that's her looking after me as a baby. My mom was a force of nature. She only had a grade 8 education, but she built an amazing business. She had a doll store and a museum that she ran very successfully for 25 years. And she taught herself everything. She could learn anything. She had a memory like an elephant. But you know, it was all taken away when dementia struck. I can remember her first signals were when she couldn't remember words. She was forgetting words for things. This picture here with Mom and I was about a month before she passed away. And she was in a nursing home, of course. She'd regressed to the point where, you know, she couldn't really eat on her own and she couldn't put full sentences together. And it was her journey. It was her frightening journey that led me to study the brain and memory. And I've spent the last decade learning how to protect and enhance brain health, first because I was terrified I could travel her path. And then I wanted to help others improve their health and their brains. So that's why we're here tonight. I've made it my life's work to help as many people as I can avoid Mom's fate. But let's start with a short science lesson. If we're going to understand how we can help our brain and how to make it better, let's understand how memory works, because this is a huge key. I'm just going to check and see if there's anything up there I need to check. Nope, nothing in the chat. Okay. So remember that memory is not a thing. Memory is a process. And we start with the senses. When we experience something with our senses, we touch, see, hear, taste, or especially smell something, it gets very quickly processed in the brain. And there it lasts less than half a second. The sensory register is very, very fast. And right after that snapshot is taken, it immediately moves into short-term memory. Stays there about 15 to 30 seconds. You can kind of think of short-term memory as the brain's scratch pad. You use your short-term memory to do things like memorize a phone number until you can write it down. Or if you're having a conversation, your short-term memory is what you use to remember that a comment that you want to make or a point you want to make. But this kind of information quickly disappears unless you make a point of remembering it. And then it goes to something called working memory. By the way, we can only hold about 4 pieces of memory in short-term memory at a time, 4 pieces of information. Now we're in working memory. And that works something like your computer's RAM, which provides working space and time for short computations. But that working memory is actually pretty vulnerable. It's like if you lose power and you haven't saved a file in your computer, it's gone, it's done. And it's the same with the short-term memory in this working memory space. If you haven't paid attention and you haven't done something with it, then it can easily get lost. But if you have decided and you're going to keep it, from there, it goes into longer term memory, and that's the hippocampus. These are the guys right here. They call them that word because it's the word for seahorse in Greek, and apparently whoever discovered it figured the hippocampus looked like seahorses. Here, that's like your computer's hard drive, and this is where data is stored permanently in the hippocampus and also deeper parts of the brain. Unfortunately, they're not 100% safe there either. Many things can interfere with the process and getting things into long-term memory. And it's here where the problems with brain fog and concentration problems and money problems, difficulty scheduling, even finding locations that you might have normally been able to find very easily. This is where we have the problem with longer term memory. That's where it is. So we have to look after those parts of the brain that hold on to these things. And the first rule, the first thing we have to do is have a healthy diet, because we know it's 100% true. You and your brain are what you eat. Now, I recommend a whole foods, plant-based diet because it gives you everything you need and cuts out the processed foods that can do so much damage to our brains and our guts. But even eating a really clean and healthy diet doesn't guarantee that we have enough of all the essential nutrients. And that's where some of our brain issues rest. That's where we get brain fog. So I'm going to talk about the vitamins and minerals that are so important. And this is actually the first step to take right now to improve your brain function and memory. And I see someone with a, love this. Yes, plants. Yes, Michelina. Yes, plants are where it's at. The thing is, so many of us, even though we eat really well, we may not be getting the essential nutrients. It's just a fact of life, right? We may not be able to absorb things properly. We may not understand exactly how to get, especially these vitamins, D3. It is such a huge problem with brain fog and memory loss. The B vitamins, especially B12. Did you know that almost everybody is deficient in magnesium and omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin C? I just learned a couple of weeks ago that there is actually almost an epidemic of scurvy-like symptoms in the American population because they're not getting enough vitamin C in the standard American diet. How scary is that? We also need vitamin E and potassium. All of these things are necessary for our brains to work properly. So the first step, the step number one in the 3 steps I promised, is to get your nutrient levels checked. And if you don't have a family physician or somebody who will do it for you, get in touch with me and I'll set you up with the Amen clinics or somewhere else where you can get these levels checked, because this is the first step to having a healthy brain, because you don't know what you don't know, right? You have to know where you sit. And it could be something as simple as having a gut dysbiosis and you're not absorbing nutrients well enough. But the kind of frightening thing is that deficiencies in any of these can actually mimic dementia. Think about that for a minute. Your whole future and the functioning of your brain can change just because of nutrient deficiencies. So once you know your numbers, do whatever you need to get them up to optimal levels, not just minimal levels, but optimal levels. So again, if you need any help in that regard, just reach out to me and I'll help you. Oh, also be sure to stay really well hydrated, because dehydration also can mimic dementia symptoms, cognitive decline. And it's such a simple thing to look after, right? Get some water, a lot of water. We should drink half as much in ounces as we weigh in pounds. So if you weigh 120 pounds, you should be drinking about 60 ounces of water a day. It seems like a lot, but your brain will help. Well, thank you for it, as will your skin, by the way. So the next thing that we can do to dispel brain fog is improve your memory. To improve your memory and your mental health is exercise. It's not really the second thing because it's just as important as diet, but I had to put them in some order. 20 to 30 minutes of aerobic exercise every day gets blood flowing to your brain. That's the number one thing. And when we talk about memory rescue in a bit, you'll understand that that's the first thing that we talk about is blood flow. We need to get that working properly. Plus it makes you, it helps stave off depression. It's just, exercise is very important. And it doesn't matter what you do, just do something that you love, so you'll keep doing it. So my suggestion for step 2 in our 3 steps today is to just start with something. Even if all you can do or all the time you have is 10 minutes, just do it. And once you start doing it consistently, you'll crave it. you'll want it more. You'll find that you're able to think more clearly. So the next thing, step number 3, is sleep. You know, when I was younger, I used to think it was a badge of honor to be able to get by on 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Wow, look how cool I am, how tough I am. But that is not good. It is just not good to go without sleep. We need 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep every night. And if you're not getting enough and you're not getting good quality sleep, you are not going to remember things well. They've actually done studies with soldiers. They tested them with their ability to shoot on a shooting range. If they had 8 hours sleep, they were like 95% accurate. If they had 7 hours of sleep, they were like 65% accurate. And by the time they only had 4 or 5 hours of sleep, they were just downright dangerous with only a 25% accuracy. So you can see, even for trained soldiers, sleep is not an option. So now a lot of us have trouble sleeping as we get older, right? So I'm going to give you a few tips to help. First, cut back on caffeine. It is not helpful, especially if you do it late in the afternoon, and certainly don't have a cup of coffee before you go to bed at night. Set up a sleep sanctuary. Make sure your bedroom is cool and dark. And turn off those electronic devices and your TV at least an hour. It's better if it's 2 before you get ready for bed. Why? Because those blue screens are really hard on the melatonin production. Oh, okay. Somebody's using a Tylenol PM to help you fall asleep. I had to do that too. You know what? When I first came back to Canada, I could not sleep. I was also going through menopause, so that probably had something to do with it. But I also had to use something to help, but it didn't really help because I felt so crappy in the morning when I did that. So these steps, if you can follow these steps, that should help. If you still have trouble, you can get a sleep hypnosis recording, and I've got one that I can send to you. You can reach out to me afterward in an email and let me know. I can set you up with that. There's a great sleep hypnosis recording that I have, or you can use a guided meditation. And of course, things like GABA. That's GABA and melatonin. Those are supplements that you can take. If you're still having trouble sleeping, maybe you have sleep apnea. Maybe there's something physical going on. If your gut is not healthy, that can also impact your sleep. So there are many things you can do, and I can help guide you through that. If you need any help, please don't hesitate to just, send me an email, or we can chat a little bit at the end of the presentation. There are many things that we can do to improve our sleep, because this is really, really important for a healthy memory and to eliminate brain fog. And if you do worry, if you're a worrier like so many of us are, especially now, keep a journal by your bed. And if you're thinking of things before you go to sleep, write them down so that you don't have to mull them over. I mean, it might sound corny, but it really helps to just get them out of your brain and onto paper. That way you don't have to worry about forgetting them. They're there and it's done. So at the beginning, I promised I would share an important tip to protect your brain from toxins. I'll tell you about some toxins and how to protect yourself. But I wanted to start here to show you what brains can look like when they're in bad shape. So this brain, now I guess I better explain that these do not mean that there are holes in the brains. These are SPECT scan images, and what they're showing is where there is a lack of blood flow. These holes represent a lack of blood flow and activity in the brain. So you can see in this Alzheimer's afflicted brain, there's not a lot of blood flowing around. This is a severe case. This is getting pretty late in the progress of the disease. But this is what a brain looks like when it's toxic. This also, look at all these places where there's no oxygen getting to the brain, or no blood flow, which means no oxygen, right? And also there's no healthy activity. So I want you to remember what those look like, because now, oh, by the way, this toxic brain, this is what the brains of alcoholics and drug addicts also tend to look like, because those are toxins, right? This, though, is a healthy brain. Look at that. It's beautiful. There's blood flow everywhere. There's healthy activity. The colors have to do with the activity. This is a healthy brain. And this is what you want to work toward. Because when you have a brain that looks like this, you can think more clearly. You are less likely to have mental health issues. You'll be happier. You'll be able to learn more quickly. You'll be able to retain information longer and more accurately. It's incredibly important to protect your brain so that it doesn't look like this. So we're going to talk about these toxins that I mentioned before. You know, we think we know most of them, like lead and arsenic. It's kind of a gross picture, but I thought it was a perfect demonstration of the toxins that are everywhere. Glyphosate, charred meats with processing, aspartame and other artificial sweeteners. We are surrounded by toxins and our brains respond to them. You know, it's really hard for our brains to deal with all this because our bodies have to process them, and everything that happens to our body happens to our brain and vice versa. So I promised I'd tell you some kind of secret toxins that you might not know about. And the first one, hand sanitizer. I know everybody's using it a lot now, but I can tell you this is not good for your brain. Think of all those other things we had back there that are around us all the time. And now we're adding this to our bodies every day, many times a day. Going to the chat. Oh my God, ugh. Yes, it is an ugh for sure. Yeah, so hand sanitizer. Now, I'm going to explain why it's dangerous. Now, researchers in the last little while, because everybody's using this stuff, have warned that frequent and increased use of hand sanitizer is toxic. Now, it's not normally fatal, but there have been some cases where young children have died from exposure to this, but it's mostly in the case of products that have been recalled. Those have contained methanol or 1-propanol. Those are very dangerous toxins. Now, we don't know normally when we get this stuff what exactly is in them. Unless you're like me and you read every label, it's likely that you don't really pay attention. So most of them are made of ethanol or isopropyl alcohol. But even though those are supposedly safe, they are still toxins. They are hormone disruptors and they are antimicrobials. What do antimicrobials do? They kill microbiome. They kill the microbiome. They kill the good bacteria and the bad in the microbiome. So think of this, you're putting hand sanitizer on and then you're eating something. Well, that sanitizer is on your food and that's going in your belly and that's going in and that's affecting your gut microbiome, and your gut microbiome affects your brain. It's a big connection. So these hand sanitizers, I know it's important to wash our hands, but use good old soap and water. You know, it might not be as convenient, but really it's the best thing, and not antibacterial soap and not stuff with sodium lauryl sulfate, the foaming agent, because those are toxins too, right? If you can get your hands on a good natural soap or make your own, and Castile soap is all over the place. You can use it for everything, the liquid stuff, and they do make it in bar soap. So this was something I really thought I should address because people just don't think about it. You know, you can buy those natural hand sanitizers in some of the health food stores. My sister tells me anyway, because I can't buy them here in Ecuador, but I know they are in Canada. But please think long and hard before you use these every day, all day, because they really aren't good for your brain. And then you wouldn't want antimicrobial toothpaste. No, you don't. Those are all things that contribute to depleting our gut health. Lisa, yes, absolutely. Nicolina, yes, And I wouldn't want the also wouldn't want the antimicrobial hand wash soap. That's exactly right. Everybody's got this idea that you have to have antibacterial soap. No, you don't. Just wash your hands, rinse them well. You know, the bugs can't stay on there with a little bit of soap and water and rinsing well. So every little bit. And now, okay, before I go on to my little soapbox, I do want to go to the second toxin, because this one, I'm betting you never thought about this one. Oh, I'm going to go to the chat before I go on. It's been difficult, especially going into stores, as each one has their own brand. Yeah, I know they won't let you in unless you use it. So I don't know what to say about that in Canada, because it's crazy there. I know. And they like us to use it here too as well. But I have been able to just say, no, I don't want to use it. Yes, and our skin is our biggest organ. We do need to pay attention. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it is difficult, Suzanne, and I don't know what to say unless you can try and say, look, I'm allergic or something, or pull out a natural, you know, if you can have a little bottle of your own in your purse and pull it out and show them you're going to use it. That might be an idea. Yes, or bring gloves you can put on. Yeah, something that can help you not be exposed to this all the time. Now, this next one, I know you never thought of this one, but I learned about this from Dr. Amen, and I had to go in and research it because I just couldn't believe that this was a thing. But the cash register receipts that we get, everybody's concerned about BPA in their plastic bottles, right? And you're always shopping for BPA free sign on everything. But what most of us don't realize is that that harmful chemical is used as a developer for heat sensitive ink in many cash register receipts, the ones that use thermal paper, the ones like this. I got a chat going here. Yes, I've started telling retailers to email me receipts. Good. Yes. Yeah. So Francine says she's stopped taking the receipts since COVID, but we still have to use the hand sanitizer. I don't know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, aren't you? But anyway, this BPA, it's used as a surface coating, and it can be transferred from the receipt to your hands. From there, there's the possibility of the BPA passing straight through your skin and into your bloodstream. Again, we've got that big organ, our skin, right? Now, the Environmental Working Group has actually suggested people avoid handling them. And if you work with them all the time, check with your employer to make sure that the brand they use is not coated with BPA, because they aren't all coated. You know, there are some brands that aren't. I'm going to go to the chat. Well, so are you not to touch it then? Here's the thing. You can ask the whoever would give you the receipt to put it in the bag with your purchase, or just have them toss it. It depends on whether you need the receipts, of course, right? But if your hands are dry and you handle them just minimally and put them in a special wallet or something in your purse, then it's just you've just got a momentary handling of them. But think about this: if you've just put sanitizer on your hands, which often happens at the checkouts, right? And then you grab that, it actually is more likely to pull the BPA off the receipt and put it on your hand. So yeah, just have them put them in the bag, or if you don't need the receipt, just have them throw it away. That's the best thing, because you don't know whether this particular store is using with BPA or not. I'm going to go back to the chat here. Yeah, I don't know what you would say to just a store that you're going into. I think that would have to be something you would, you don't want, if you were working with it all the time. And yes, the ink does spread. Yes, absolutely. So if it's got BPA, then, you know, it's a really hard thing, because you could go crazy worrying about all this stuff. And Michelina was asking how much of it is enough to cause a negative effect. I don't think that just handling a couple of receipts, especially if your hands are dry, is a big problem. I think it's more the cumulative effect, because think of how many things we're exposed to. So just say you go to a store, they want you to use the hand sanitizer before you go in the store. And then they might have put sanitizer on the coins They actually were doing that here in Ecuador during the height of the pandemic. Everybody was putting sanitizer on the coins, and then they'd hand you the coins. And so, it's a cumulative thing. And then if you're getting receipts, it's on there. Our poor bodies and brains are just getting, overloaded. So it's just one little thing that you could maybe avoid. Every little thing that we can avoid is, I tell the before the receipt can be printed. Oh, to stop it? I'm guessing, Francine, you're saying to say before the receipt can be printed. Yeah, because most of us, I know, think of accountants or bookkeepers. And that's why if you work with this stuff, you need to ask your employer what brand they're using, because you can check online to see if it has BPA. I also know that a leading plant-based diet helps detox. Yes, yes, it's true, Michelina. Eating plants helps a lot, and drinking a lot of water with lemon. We want to get our bodies in an alkaline state. Yes, all of those things help. So I don't want to scare you. I don't want you to be paranoid, because people are already, concerned enough the way things are right now. So just, try not to handle them with wet hands or hands that have just been covered in sanitizer. Try not to use the sanitizer. And if you must in a store, maybe, like I said to Suzanne, maybe you can use a little bottle of your own that you might have been able to get at the health food store or somewhere else. And I'm going to go one. It's not scary. It's just good to be aware. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I hope so. I don't want to scare people, but I do want you to be aware, because the whole point of this webinar is to help you protect your brain, right? So that you've got a better memory and it lasts longer. You don't ever want to be running down the road that my mama traveled on. Nobody needs that. Nobody wants that. Okay, so I don't want to talk anymore about toxins. What I want to talk about now is a healthier brain. And I promised you 2 powerful exercises that you can use right away to help improve your memory. And I'm going to get to those in a minute. But first, I'm going to invite you to learn a way to take real action toward a better memory. And I'm asking if it's okay if I share with you a project that I have coming up, and I'd like to invite you to it. Just say in the chat, yeah, it's okay, I'd like to hear, or thumbs up or something. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, guys. So as you may remember, I wrote a book on dementia prevention, and part of that is all about, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to go and get these answers before I go on to this, because I don't want to. Okay with me? Okay with me? Okay, somebody raised a hand. Where is that? I missed it. Okay. All right. So, oh, there it is, Johanna Cook. Attendees. Okay. I don't see if you have a question, please put it in the chat, okay? But I'm going to go ahead with this, because I don't want to stay too long away from those 2 amazing tricks that I've got for you for your memory. So as you may remember, I wrote a book on dementia prevention, and that includes a whole foods plant-based diet. And it was a result of all of the things I've learned over the last decade to help myself and my loved ones and anyone else who will listen to me build a better brain. But if you know me, you know I don't like to just rest on what I know. I have to keep learning. I'm kind of a course junkie, and I always like to pass on what I learn. So recently, I completed 2 certifications and 6 courses with Dr. Daniel Amen. I'm sure you know who he is. He's a pretty famous brain health guy. And as a result of my lessons from him, I'm now allowed to share his teachings. And I've got a new program that I've created in conjunction with Dr. Amen, and I'm calling it Memory Rescue Plus. And I'm pretty excited about it, because I'm taking Dr. Amen's Bright Minds formula, which helps you understand what risks you have so that you can prevent or minimize your chances of developing dementia. And then I've added my own special twist on it, which means coaching to help you choose the right foods and exercises and other brain boosting techniques that will work for you. This is very personalized to help you improve your memory and concentration now, so that will also help you lower your chance of developing any cognitive issues later. And that's why I've called it Memory Rescue Plus. The plus part of the program comes in a couple of ways. Firstly, in tons of support that you just can't get in a self-directed course. So we're going to have group meetings once a week to go over the lessons for that week and ensure you have all the information you need to follow through on the exercises, because you are going to have exercises to do that will make a difference in your brain every week. You're going to have things to do so that you will start seeing improvement right away in your memory and clearing up some of that brain fog. Also, in our coaching calls every week, you'll be able to ask questions and share your insights or problems or wins, whatever you want to talk about. And we'll have a private Facebook group just for Memory Rescue Plus. And you can come there between meetings. I'll be there all the time. You can ask questions or get help or encouragement from your colleagues in the program. You'll also get support from my book, because I'm going to give you a digital copy of Don't Let the Memories Fade. And the steps you take each week in Memory Rescue are going to be boosted by information you've got in Don't Let the Memories Fade. I've got a complete brain healthy food guide, so you know when you go to the store what to buy. I've got all kinds of recipes, like, I don't know, several dozen, meal plans, mindfulness exercises. All of these will help you as you go through Memory Rescue, because it's hard to make lifestyle choices changes sometimes, right? So this will give you extra support. But that's not all. For the June 2021 edition, because this is also my first time running this, I'm offering two personal coaching sessions for each person in this group. This will be at the beginning, so you can set your goals. We'll set them together, just like a personal coach or trainer. We'll set your goals together, and I'll help you through this journey. And then later on, we'll have another meeting so that you can tell me how you're doing. We can redirect you if we need to reset your course, but it's going to be a personal journey where you will set your goals and you will decide what we need to do to change. We'll work together to make the changes or tweaks to get you on your way to a healthier brain and a better memory. And finally, as a special gift, I'm giving you lifetime access to my favorite project for this year, 5 days of joyful, mindful practice. This was a virtual retreat, and I did it with 4 other amazing ladies, and it has 5 beautiful lessons guiding you through a journey of mindfulness. Every exercise was created to help you experience more joy in your life. And because a happy brain is more likely to be a healthy, well-working brain, I decided I would like to add this as a bonus. These are bonuses all in addition. These are all things in addition to Dr. Amen's standard Memory Rescue course. So you're getting personal coaching and all of this stuff in the standard course. The only way you can get the 5 days of joyful mindful practice is by signing up at this website, and I'll give it to you again later. But I hope you will consider joining me. It's going to be great. You will learn so much, and you will come away with a happier, healthier brain and a better memory. But I don't want to take any more time away from our learning time now. Hold on, I've got a question. Chat. Title of your book, Don't Let the Memories Fade. Don't Let the Memories Fade is the name of the book. And thanks, Michelina. Thank you. Michelina has a great way to get fresh foods. We'll have to do a online, a Brain Health Matters online, Michelina. So we're going to get to our memory exercises now. Here we go. Remember at the beginning of the webinar, I said memories start in the senses. So we're going to tap into that process by using more than one sense to remember something. So we're going to practice, we're going to imagine we're going to go to the grocery store and you want to remember a list of things. So I made my list here: avocados, lemons, potatoes, paper towels, and of course, cat food. So say this was your list. What you want to do is use your five senses to remember that list. So visually, you're seeing the list, but also imagine in your mind's eye what those objects look like. Say it out loud: avocados, lemons, potatoes, paper towels, cat food. Say it out loud. Imagine what those things taste or smell like, right? What does the avocado and what does it feel like? Is it smooshy when it's nice and ripe and it's a little smushy? Smell the lemon, feel the roughness of the skin. Imagine the potatoes. Are they red? Are they white? You know, by using your five senses to remember or to look at that list, you will remember it better. I promise you, next time you go to the store, make a short list, do this practice. I'm guaranteeing you will remember your list, and then you can use it for other things. You can even use it for names of objects. Remember, think of the five senses. If you're learning something new, like for me, I'm learning language, Spanish. So I use this to remember words that I'm learning in Spanish. Also, while you're doing that, use your spatial memory. If you've gone to the same store many times and you're going to go buy those things, imagine where they are in the supermarket, because that's another way of using your senses. Now you've got spatial, that third dimension, right? Spatial memory to help you. So that's the first, and I'm telling you, I've been using it now for several months since I learned it, and it is amazing. I don't have to take a list anymore. If I go to the same store, if I go to a different store, it's not so easy. The next thing is, just like your muscles have to work out to be strong, your brain has to work out. We have to practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? You practice. And it's the same with your brain to improve your memory. So what we're going to do as part 2 of this exercise, this lesson, is force yourself to memorize something each day. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be long, just something. It can be like a shopping list like we just talked about, or a random list of words or items in a photo. You could even look at this photo and say, okay, there's a stopwatch, a man's hand, a sketch of a brain holding weights, and the words practice. When you go away from here, try to remember, what did you see in that picture or any of the pictures in the webinar? Daily practice, just like you work out your body, daily practice working out your brain leads to fast improvement. And when you're doing that practice, by the way, it's better to do it in short chunks of time. So if you're studying or you're memorizing, do it for 5 minutes and go away from it. Come back later, another 5 minutes. The studies have shown that if you do this sort of thing in shorter chunks, you're likely to remember more. Because remember, again, at the first of the webinar, I said that we can only remember about 4 things at a time. So if you make shorter chunks, then you're going to be able to remember those things and put them into working memory and then into long-term memory. And finally, my favorite part of this, the beautiful practice I promise to help you become more mindful and peaceful so your brain can work in a calmer, happier state. And before I go on, I'm going to answer the chat. You read it in Jim Quick's book too. Oh, I didn't know it came from Jim. Oh, well, I don't even remember where I learned it now, but you're welcome. Yeah, these are great tricks for learning. So I want to go on to the practicing gratitude, because an attitude of gratitude serves us in many ways. Firstly, we're going to be kinder to people. We're going to attract more goodness in our lives. If we're grateful, more comes to us, right? and it will improve our mental and brain health. A happier brain is a healthier brain. Now, gratitude journals can be very powerful, but I like to take it one step further with this beautiful practice, which can also become a creative practice for your brain. So write down 10 to 20 of your best memories on separate pieces of paper or cards, little index cards or something. Then if you like, attach photos to them or sketch things that represent them. So imagine something for which you're incredibly grateful and joyful about, perhaps the birth of a child or a grandchild, or when you accomplished something that really you worked so hard and you were so grateful, or for a kindness from a friend. Write that down and attach an image to it. Take those images then, or words on those papers, and anchor them to places in your home, just random places, so that when you open a kitchen cupboard or the fridge or your mirror in your bathroom and you see those images and you attach gratitude to those images of memories that made you happy. Not only will you feel happier in the moment by remembering to express gratitude, you will be able to help improve your brain. It's one of the best practices I've ever learned. And chat, such a great idea. I think I'll put those gratitudes in a jar so you can pull one when I'm feeling blue. Very good idea. Yes, yes, gratitude, gratitude. The thing about spurts, it was a great tip. Thank you. So gratitude, practice your, I'm just going to review quickly here what we talked about. Gratitude, practicing memory, taking good care of your body and your brain, and trying to avoid toxins whenever you can. There are 5, 6 little things you can do that can make a huge difference on a day-to-day basis, and long-term, it can make a huge difference in your life. By the way, you're going on one of my cards. Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. First, I'll come back on. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back live. And I have one more thing in the chat here. Did you say a happy brain is a healthy brain? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. A happy brain is a healthy brain. Because think about it. Our mental health has such an incredible impact on everything, on our guts. I talk a lot in Memory Rescue about gut health because so much of our health is connected to our gut. I mean, mostly all of it, actually. So if we have a healthier or a happier attitude, our guts are going to be happier. It's really, and all those microbes, yes, all those microbes are going to be happier if we're happier. If we are calmer and more at peace, this is a huge part of Memory Rescue Plus, the part that I teach. Being calmer and healthier and having a more peaceful attitude is very, very important if you're going to be have a healthy brain and a good memory. I'm going to just check the chat again. Yes, all those microbiomes. Okay. Somebody has their hand up. I can't tell who. I'm sorry. But if you do have a question, please put it in the chat. So again, I'd like to invite you to join me for Memory Rescue Plus. If you have any questions, you can always email me. I'll be sending out a replay of this as well, and you'll have a link to sign up there if you so desire. If you have any questions. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I want to respect your time. It's getting late here. We're almost at 8 o'clock. Central Time. Thank you, Lisa Janice. Thank you so much for joining us, for everybody for spending your time with me. And again, I hope I get to see you. Oh, by the way, the course starts, the program starts on June 14th. Do you ever address the fats that the brain mains? Oh boy, do I ever. Yes. Healthy fats are a big part of my program in Don't Let the Memories Fade. And also Dr. Amen talks about it. Yes, our brains, the solid parts of our brains are actually 60% fat. So we want to have healthy fats. Absolutely. You're very welcome, everybody. Thank you again so much. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to let you go. I know it's getting late in some places. How long is the program? The program is 6 weeks long. We start on the 14th. We'll have a meeting that Monday night, and then we'll meet every Monday night again for 6 weeks. So you have 7 meetings with me in the group. And that's how long it is. And I can tell you, I did the memory rescue course myself when I was studying it. And even though I knew all the stuff that I did from researching Don't Let the Memory Fade, I did learn a lot in this, and I was able to boost my memory. That was the big thing for me, because I was getting a little tired of forgetting things. So that's been a big help for me. Chat. Let's go back to the chat and say, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, Suzanne. Thanks so much for coming. And all of you have a blessed night. Again, email me if you want more information, and I will be sending out the replay of this with information on how you can. Do you play the harp? Yes, I do, Pat. Yes, I play the harp. And Suzanne does too. I hope she's still here. I can't tell who else here, but Suzanne plays the harp too. Suzanne was one of my students. Joanna, so you play the harp too. Great. Playing harp is an amazingly powerful thing for your brain, because thank you, Nancy. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the information. And yes, playing any musical instrument, that's something else I will be coaching you on in Memory Rescue Plus, because I think it's really important to, if you can't learn a new instrument, to play an old one, or to at least embrace music as part of your life, because it is very important. Very important. And Nancy plays the harp. My harpists are here. Yay. Thanks again so much. I'm going to sign off and thank you many times over for joining me. Good night.